Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining Resilient Immigrant today for a powerful discussion that I believe is going to give you the boldness to break into a new industry. So, I want to start by asking the audience, not our wonderful panel that I'm going to get to in a second, but I want to ask you, do you believe that you will be happier doing something else? Do you feel your heart is pulling you toward a new direction? Let's be honest, transition, I know this for a fact, and change is really, really scary. But what's worse is being miserable and stagnant where you are. One of my favorite quotes says, "It's your story and it's allowed to have a plot twist." So this evening, I have three wonderful people who are here. They're going to give you that confidence to have that plot twist. But before I get into that, I really want to talk about Resilience Immigrants, this organization that's bringing you today's panel. This organization encourages immigrants to dream without limits. All right, I like that. To envision a brighter future and to take the first step toward realizing those dreams. This organization aims to empower immigrants with tools, knowledge, and the skills that they need to turn their dreams into a reality. So, like I said, we've got a wonderful panel of three incredible individuals. I'm so happy to see some guys on this evening's panel. I want to start with Fisayo Ojelabi. He's a transition coach, a multifaceted career coach with over a decade of experience helping people navigate various IT career paths. Fisayo, I want to thank you for being here with us this evening.
Thank you, Sophia.
Next, I want to introduce Miss Ruth Lagarde. Ruth, did I say your last name right?
That was on point,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. I didn't know if there was a special way of saying it. She's a clinical trial expert, a clinical research professional with over a decade of experience in clinical trial management and health and safety. Last but not least, our Mr. Markanthony Akem. He's an agile transformation coach, nationally recognized career and business strategist as well. Thank you, Mark Anthony, for joining us this evening.
Thank you for
So I
having
really
me,
want,
Sophie.
oh, actually, Mark Anthony. Do you mind if I call you Mark?
Whatever works for you works for me.
Oh,
As long as
okay.
it has an M in it, I'm okay with
All
it.
right, Mark. I want you to introduce yourself and talk briefly about your career and your journey and what inspired you to transition to a new industry.
And that will be the last man. That will be me, right? You want me
Yes,
to
yes,
keep
you,
that?
Mark.
Oh,
I don't see
absolutely,
any other marks
absolutely.
on the
Yeah,
clock.
I thought you were going to throw it right back to um, Mr. Fasoyo. Is it
Fisayo. Don't
Fais?
worry. You have to focus because
Fisayo.
I get
Fisayo.
surprises. I have surprises throughout the panel, so stay focused, okay, Mark?
So apparently so what motivated me? Personally, it's always the drive to attain or achieve more,
Mm,
to be better than what I was, starting out as a young professional in the United States. Um, that- I had to do odd jobs, right? Being an immigrant coming into the country,
mm,
that initial phase, there's that culture shock. You're trying to understand the difference because where we come from, it's pretty different the way we do things, right? Culturally speaking. So being here, it kind of made me start looking at life a little differently. And also, doing that was one of the things that now made me say, you know what, I need to really define what I want to be for myself moving
okay.
forward. And that really was when I decided to really pick up the pace. Went to grad school. While in grad school, took on a few jobs to really get to understand the culture, the way people speak, the way they articulate things, the way they understand what you say. and overall, just the way people want to be spoken to as well.
Mm,
Because I
mm,
believe soft skills are very critical or crucial to your success in this country, or any country you find yourself. Understanding the basics about how people live, the culture, it's very essential. And I think with that, that kind of set the path and laid the groundwork for me to now start pushing on to getting into becoming a business analyst and gradually getting an understanding of IT and becoming a coach and becoming an enterprise coach or a transformation agent as you have it today. But it didn't happen without people, right? At
mm.
every step of the way, and connecting with people, or learning from them, and sharing what you have as well. So
Okay, so am I hearing you say that um, basically you building communication skills really helped
yeah,
you transition in your career path? Is
yeah,
that correct?
absolutely. Fundamentally, you need to understand your place, the people, the culture, right?
Right.
I think those are
Mhm.
very important aspects of it, right? And once you have that understanding, it helps you now get a clear path as to what direction do I really want to go, right?
Okay.
And the people you connect with, because you meet different people, right? Some people are
Mhm.
advising you do this, some people are do that, do this, but when you have an understanding of the landscape, it makes it easier to know which direction and the people you need to connect with to get what you want.
Thank you for that. Ruth, I see you nodding your head a lot. I want you to first start by introducing yourself, but then if you want to add on to what Mark Anthony said as well.
Yes. So Mark was so spot on with that. Like a lot of people will give you a lot of information, but you have to stay
Mhm.
focused. You have to know what you want to do. So I'll introduce myself quickly. And my name is Ruth Lagarde, as you already did introduce me. And I'm currently a clinical research professional. I didn't start off as a clinical research professional, so I transitioned into the career. So initially, I started off as a health safety expert. So I had to, um, you know, transition into clinical research by in a very long, confusing way, though very,
Mhm.
you know. So I started off as a health safety environmental manager, grew up into clinical research space, but I had to move all the way from France. Not like Mark. Mark's story was like immigrants in the US struggling through it and climbing up the ladder. Mine was that I
Mhm.
was an immigrant in a different country. I was doing good to the level that the country could offer me, but I got dissatisfied. And I feel like it's a point where everyone's story is kind of be connected to some extent because there must be some bits of dissatisfaction within you to say, okay, I'm done with this. I want more for myself. I think I deserve more. So that was what happened to me. I got dissatisfied being a professor in health safety space. I was like, no, this is not me. I want more. And so
Mhm.
I COVID hit, brain reset, and I was like, okay, pack your load and go to the US and pursue your career, pursue a dream career for yourself. And that was how I
Mhm.
stumbled into research. I started off, into just self-learning the field, understanding the territory. As Mark said, you need to know what you're going into. You need to understand your onions. You need to know the market scale. I understood it and I built up my skill set by going into a degree, a master's degree like Mark as well. I went into full-time master's degree and then got into the career full-time and currently even coaching others. So that's how I started my journey.
That's such an incredible story. It sounds like you reached the point where you weren't learning anymore in the career that you were in, and you were uncomfortable in that stagnancy. And the thing is, I feel a lot of people actually just end up, I guess, being tough and be like, I'm just going to ride it out, even though I feel uncomfortable. And you said no.
Yes.
Fisayo, I want to ask you the same question, and please start by really introducing your career and the transitions that you've made over the years.
Okay, thanks, Sophia. So I've had quite a unique transition journey, and I think that led me to becoming a transition coach. I started out as a veterinarian back
Wow.
in Nigeria, and I practiced for a bit. before I had the first transition. Now, that transition was into sales, and I could only do that by going to school. I was in business school for 2 years before I transitioned into sales. I was in that industry for that sector for almost 8, 9 years across different global companies before I moved over to the United States. When I was coming, I knew way before that I was going to move, and I had done transitions before, so I knew what to do. I understood myself. I knew I was on a journey. Uh, Sales was part of it. It taught me some skills that I knew that I lacked in terms of how to communicate to people, how to convince people to do things or buy stuff. But I knew that I needed more than that, speaking to what Markanthony and Ruth referred to. So I did quite a bit of soul searching, and did some research also, that what kind of industry fits my skill sets, both my, not just my technical skills, but also my temperament. Where would I thrive? Be my natural self without, uh, pushing myself to be who I'm not. And I came up with IT. Now I work with IT specialists, but I knew basically nothing about it. And just like Mark, I decided that the best way to get into IT was as a business analyst. So for a year before I moved to the States, I started getting certifications. What's the best certification in business analysis? I got the IIBA CBAP certification. That helped me to get into a community of business analysts. That helped me to get comfortable with that. Without actually practicing as a business analyst, I could interact with business analysts all over the world using that platform. When I got into the States, I knew that I knew the theory, but I did not have the practical skills. So I researched, asked around, and got a really good boot camp. That 3 months, I was able to get the practical skills that I needed. And that included interviewing, how to interview, what to do, how to do it. And that's how I got into the space. And uh, leveraging my previous experience across different sectors. In the IT space, I was able to move from a business analyst to a scrum master to an agile coach. And now I lead a PMO in a consulting firm. By the side, I like to give back. So what I do is also to help people that transition specifically into tech, because I've worked in so many different areas in tech and in different industries in tech. I am able to help people identify where they are currently and help them map out how to get to where they need to get to, what they need to do. That's gap analysis. I'm able to help people do that. So that's
Which
my
is what
journey.
you did. Essentially
Yeah.
is what you did for yourself, and now you've created kind of the playbook on how to do this. I think
Yes.
that's really powerful, Fisayo. I thank you for sharing that. Such a stretch from a vet to now what you're doing. That is a big stretch, and you kind of answered my second question, which was to kind of talk about the barriers that you had to go through. So you went to get those practical steps. You said that you went through a boot camp. Ruth, you mentioned that it was kind of a stretch for you as well, making that transition. I heard that, girl. And I know there are a lot of people who are in that same ballpark with you, or as far as what you went through in the past. Can you
Yes.
explain how you kind of got over that?
Yes. Thank you for that. So I would say that first thing first, which is what Fisayo said, soul searching. You have to discover
Mm,
yourself, tell yourself the
mm,
truth. Am I
beautiful.
able to actually go through the journey, regardless of the hurdles that would come your way? That's the
Mm,
first question you have to ask yourself. You have to be true to yourself to say, can I take this on? Will I have the tenacity to go through no matter what comes my way? So that was the hunger. That was my passion. That was my desire that kept me going. Even when I came to the US, I saw a lot of shocking situations that I was never in a situation where I would second guess myself. But in the US, oh my gosh, that was something else. I started to second guess, rethink my coming. Was it worth it? My life wasn't that bad in France. I was just in so much emotional state of mind. But another thing that Mark has said and Fisayo has said is community. You need to have a community of people that can put you, on track, always keep you accountable to what your word has said. I had said to myself that I wanted a change. I wasn't feeling good with what I had on my paycheck or what I was earning. I wanted a better income for myself. I wanted a better career that I could feel comfortable in my own skin. I'm one who is like an introverted person who likes to be behind in that front desk office or interacting with people every day. So as Mark said, IT, he just felt connected with it emotionally and physically. That's the kind of person I am. I don't want to be in front of 50 faces looking at me and staring at me, and I have to just keep up an image of I'm an extrovert. I'm not. Behind my scene in my remote work, I feel so good doing what I do. And another thing, you need to also know the industry. So if you found your passion, if you found what you want to do, don't be just a lazy person. Learn every bit of it. Be a guru on it if you can. Learn every day. I burn the candles. I don't mind how many hours I sit down on my desk trying to be an expert in the field. I'm not just coming in and trying to just have a job. I'm coming in to dominate. That's the part. That's the I come in with. I'm coming in. Ruth in the room when it comes to clinical research. I'm learning my onions. I'm digging it in. I'm trying to connect with all the conferences happening, webinars, and all of that. That's how I have enriched myself in the field. So know your onions, understand the field, get all the knowledge and expertise you need. Do a lot of research. By the time you know your onions, then you now say, okay, what's the pathway? What are the pathways? Clinical research has several pathways, but the ones I can veg for and the ones I truly account for and say, this is what my friends and my folks and my family have done, and it's worked for them, is going through the route of school. So if you go through the route of school, either low budget way, like certifications, very low budget, you don't need to burn the bank account, or you go through the highway, which is the master's program I did, or you go through just transferable skills. Just the way Fisayo laid it out nicely, he said he would do a mapping for you, right? Whatever you have on the table, your transitional skills, your skills that you can transfer into transferable skills. I lay those things out, and I'm able to match make you with the job and say, this is a job that suits your personality and your career, and your experience that you already have. You don't need to start from zero level, depending on your transferable skills. You can start off from a mid-level, you can start off from anywhere, but that's how we get into those conversations.
All right. Thanks, Ruth. I can feel your passion and your confidence all the way from here. I'm happy on behalf of all of us. I'm happy you made that transition.
Yes.
Markanthony, the transition sometimes can take a hit on our confidence. And I want to know if you ever had a time when you were transitioning where you had low confidence and how you got through that, because you seem like you're very confident right now in what you're doing.
Well, so it's understanding one thing. I think Ruth and Fisayo had also made some very key points. Is you have a vision, right? You've carved out your path. There's a vision ahead of you. There has to be a way to get to that vision, right? We called it the gap analysis. Truly, what it is. I'm here today, and I want to be there. What's in between? Right? What separates me from where I am to where I want to go? And then it's to start looking at it from first building. There has to be a desire. The drive can't just be money, right? For me, right? The drive should not always be money. And I think that's where a lot of people make mistakes. The drive should be, to Ruth's point, get to the root the root of it, know your onion, right? When you know it, it's almost like in Agile, we talk a lot about value proposition. Know what the value, the outcome you're looking to drive is going to be, and what value that would mean to you. So long as there's return on value, there will always be a return on investment, right? So that's the mindset you need to condition yourself. And that's why I speak a lot about soft skills. In this society, before someone could hire you to start playing a role, they need to first have that exterior assessment of you as a person, how you speak, how you're able to carry yourself, how you integrate within an environment, how you're able to articulate your position, and things of that sort. So, your speaking skills, your presentation skills, your listening skills, communication skills. There are so many soft skills that you need to hone in on to evolve first as part of that preparation process. Don't just everybody is doing agile and you want to do agile. You want to be a scrum master. You want to be a
Right.
BA. You want to be a clinician. You want to be a nurse because somebody says nursing is where they're making money. And I think that's what derails the mentality, right? So once you can have your own plan and organize it from that standpoint, understand where you are to where you want to go, I think it creates a clear path for you to start building confidence. And as you run into or encounter those challenges as you go along, it makes it easier to really deal with them because you're not only doing building yourself up, you're connecting with the right people, you have a sight, you have eyes on your goal, and then you really know what it is that you're looking to achieve that is driving you, that is just not money but
Mhm.
value, right? That will do something more lasting, and the revenue or the income just starts coming in at the appropriate time. You got to do your work. It's not rocket science. You don't just jump from the sky, from leapfrogging. And that's why I disagree with that mindset. Anytime I hear them
Yeah.
say, oh, Africa needs to leapfrog, I say it's a no. There's nothing like
Mm.
leapfrogging because you don't know where you're going to land. You could land in a frying
Hmm.
pan for,
Oh,
for
that's
right? Yeah.
that's a very
So
scary analogy, but you're saying that it's so necessary to set out a path before you
set out a path.
even decide to
Absolutely.
walk on it. Now, you mentioned some soft skills, of course, like really making sure you're refining your soft skills. I want to know, what about some industry specific skills for your particular industry that people can start getting if they want to get into being a business strategist?
To be honest, and it goes so everything we do these days, whether in core technical
Mm.
or process or even in the area of medical like Ruth is in, right? Or maybe clinical research and things of that sort. It's soft skills are very important because you find out that you have to work with people. So long as
Hmm.
you're going to work with people, you're going to interact with people, you're going to deal with people, you need to perfect those skills. I offer trainings, right? We offer my company. We offer trainings in about 170, 175 countries, certifications. And one thing I've seen across the board, even when we have people from the UK, Nigeria, here in the US, Canada, or wherever they are that join those trainings, is that um, the communication, the way people interact in class, even when we have class exercises, right? That you set everybody to, okay, let's get in a group and work together and see what we can come out with. One of the biggest challenges I always see that we have to talk through in the class is, well, I don't feel I was being listened to. I don't feel like I contribute. I don't feel like everybody understood where I was coming from. And you start understanding, looking at the underlying factor that really leads to all those things. It's always those soft skills. Maybe somebody in there doesn't know how to articulate the messaging, or the messaging is received wrongly. or somebody starts feeling that, oh, well, the way this is being said to me, I don't like it. But how do you get those people back? So it all boils around those soft skills, soft skills, soft skills. And then when you now get into more industry specific skills, um, obviously, writing skills, your presentation skills, facilitation skills, all those things become very important. But how would you facilitate if you can't gauge your audience? You need to make sure your audience is following you. If you're facilitating a session, if people are not keyed into the way you're communicating, then there's really, you don't know your audience, right? Your flow is going to be interrupted. And these are all things that all, get connected in that space. If I'm doing a presentation for CIOs, CFOs, or higher executives, or lower level team members, my flow would be different, because at that higher level, they don't need to know much about the overall details. They don't need you getting too granular with them. But when I'm talking to people that are at the team level, they want to know the details of what they, because that's where they are operating. So
That's
you
where they're
need
working.
to, these are all, it's kind of like an example of what it is to really understand and utilize those skills at every given time, um, through the process.
Thanks, Mark Anthony. Fisayo, I want to ask you the same question, especially when going into the IT field. I mean, there's so many resources, it feels like, out there. What would you advise someone who's, looking into that industry? What kind of technical skills would you advise them to get?
That's interesting. I think first, it's dependent on what exactly you want to do in the tech space. So first, I would recommend that you get the knowledge, right? Even before you go for technical skills, more technical skills, and that you get from getting the right certification. Attend, you know, uh, schools like Markanthony's, where they can train you, you understand the theory, you understand the concepts before you start growing in learning the technicalities of what you need to do. So, for example, if you're going to be a BA, I would expect that you would understand what it means to be a BA. You understand what a BA does, what tools a BA would use before you start getting grounded in those tools. Being a business analyst, I think you basically need to be able to use tools, that you need to document. You need to learn how to facilitate, to get people to tell you requirements that you would document. How do we document in the business analysis space? Those are the things that you need to learn. Those are the technical skills that interviewer would look for. And then you don't just learn any tool, you learn the tools that most organizations will use, like the Jira, Azure DevOps, Confluence, how to use SharePoint. Those are the skills that would pertain to a business analyst. So you have to be very targeted when you start the process. This is the theory that I need to learn, and these are the tools that I need to get hands on, not just somebody showing you how to use it. You need to go to a place where they will teach you how you can get your hands dirty on it, what to do at every step of the way. And I think that relates to every field in tech. For example, getting into project management, after I'd spent time with all the Jiras and rallies and Azure DevOps of this world in the agile part of things, I needed to learn how to use Microsoft projects, which I hadn't used before. And it is a really robust and complex tool with interactions with so many other Microsoft products. So, it speaks to what Ruth said. Once you've identified what you need to do, you need to do the hard work. There's no leapfrogging. You have to do the hard work. And that's the
Mhm.
hard work that will help you um, grow that confidence. Now I go into a session and somebody says, oh, we need to review Microsoft's project. We need to review this project. I can easily bring up my project in front of anybody, regardless of how many years of experience you've had using the tool, and navigate like an expert, because I am an expert on it. I learned it. So no leapfrogging. You have to do the hard work, and the knowledge of what you need to do, knowing that you know it, brings the confidence, and it will show in everything you're doing, even in your communication, right?
Yeah.
When that
Yeah.
confidence is there.
Yeah. So there's no easy way to do this. You're saying just do the hard work. And I always say when you don't do the hard work, someone's going to find out.
Yeah.
And then you will be out of a job and probably transitioning back. So, Ruth, I really love what you were saying about, you try to be at conferences and you try to network a lot. Let's talk about that. I think the idea, especially going into healthcare, is that there's so many jobs open. You actually need a network. You just need to apply for something. Talk about, when you transitioned, how much networking you had to do, if you had to get any mentors. Let's discuss that.
Oh, very great question. So, yes, so clinical research is not like the every regular health sector job. It's quite competitive to get into the industry. So,
Wow.
first of all, gaining experience is paramount for you to actually get even your first call for an interview. You need to know what to say during the interview. So networking is no brainer, as it's like the easiest way for you to start to build up on experience, right? For someone who is just starting off from no level, right? Zero level. So what I
Mm.
did was my LinkedIn. First of all, I worked a lot on my CV and then worked on my LinkedIn and try to get the right minds of people that I just see, people that you aspire to becoming like them. I reach out to them. This is me coming out from my comfort zone. I never used to do that, reaching out to people to say, can you mentor me? Can you guide me? You have to be humble enough to learn. You have to be coachable.
Mm.
You have to have that mindset to say, this is a goal I really want to achieve, but I'm not there yet. Be honest about it. Don't claim I'm already there and acting all, but you have to be humble. So I used to do a lot of, every week I set a target to connect to as many as 10 people, and just reach out. And so many times I got positive feedback to say, yes, I can jump in on a call, 10 minutes, 20 minutes to just discuss what clinical research meant, what the meaning of clinical research, what you wanted to know about. These are VPs, these are directors in the industry, and I was just coming into the industry. So I did that, a lot of networking on LinkedIn, which I will encourage. And also I did a shadowing experience that really helped me. So you see the thing that Fisayo said, hands-on experience, I
Yeah.
literally did that because I didn't just want to stop there on the theoretical part. The theoretical part, I was already sound. I was like, I need to know it. I need to feel it with my hands, understand the systems, because there are lots of systems in clinical research. There's CTMS, there's Kuvo, there are different systems you work with. If you don't know it, how do you even perform during your interview? How do you express yourself to say that I know what I'm speaking about? So it gives you more confidence when you add in the skills. So that was what I did. A lot of shadowing experience. I did a lot of internship as well to build the experience. Then conferences, of course, any webinar I see, anything that is online, I'm able to attend, because sometimes because of my kids, it's difficult to actually navigate being a mother and being a student and being, a professional. So I just do everything that I'm able to attend through online virtual connections and all of that. That's really what I invested in the most.
Sounds like you were busy with this process. Thanks again for emphasizing the fact that this is work. Um, Mark Anthony, I want to ask you the same thing. How did you network? How did you navigate the new space with new people and start even having conversations like them as well?
Absolutely. Um, so for me, my personality is I can walk into the room, walk up to you, and just start talking to you if I feel you have the information I need. Um, Sometimes you have to be a little apply some unconventional ways to it, especially
Okay.
when you're hungry and you need answers. Um, so, and then a lot of study time too, right? Webinars, looking online, watching videos, spending a lot of time reading, trying to really understand you understand the theoretical, and then you look at the application to what Fisayo had said, to what Ruth had suggested. Um, but for me, I think I found what I call my anchor person. I found a mentor. I found a mentor. And that mentor was somebody who had been in the industry for a very, very long time. Finding a mentor is my mentor. Um, he used to be somebody in that space that worked, I think, in the Lean Six Sigma space for a very long time. He had several years of experience. So I ran into him at an event, obviously a Nigerian event, and then we started talking. He found out that I was new, and I told him, talked to me a little bit about what he did, and I told him, I really want you to mentor me.
Mm.
I'm pretty new. What can you advise I do? And that was how we sparked up our friendship. You need to be closed mouths don't get fed. If you don't speak up, nobody helps you. All right.
Absolutely.
So being bold enough to know what you want and how to go about it, whether conventional or unconventional, matters a lot. Right? Be
Mm.
able to reach out to people, reach out to friends on LinkedIn. You see people who have certain profiles. Hey, just a quick question. What is it that I can tap into with you? Can I schedule some time? I really want to talk to you. People are kind and nice enough
Mhm.
to at least listen to you. But you have to be willing to do the legwork and be able to also reach out to folks when you need to reach out to them without fear or favor, of any kind, right? Just be able to speak up.
And I always say that people really like talking about themselves. So
Absolutely.
even
Absolutely.
when you reach out to someone, as Ruth was saying, she was reaching out to VPs.
Yeah.
VPs get tired of the boring old same old meetups.
Mhm.
If they get a chance to talk about their story, I promise you they're going to actually remember you more, because it's just like a time to talk about how fabulous they are. So it's a great point to get a mentor for sure. If anyone has any questions in the audience, please add them into the chat right now, and maybe in about 10 minutes we'll be able to ask our panelists these questions. Fisayo, I'm not sure if you read a lot, but something tells me you do. Those It seems like you do. I mean, transitioning from being a vet to where you are now is a lot of reading. Do you have any books that you would advise people read? Maybe any on personal or professional development?
That's an interesting question.
And I want
Okay,
everyone thinking about this too. Mark Anthony and Ruth, please. Any book recommendations?
uh,
Absolutely.
okay, that's there is one that I would recommend. I actually used to a coach, so I have a coach um, that I interact with, and she recommended the book, and I think it's simply one of the most um, impactful books that I've read. Not
Hmm.
because, and I wish that I read it earlier, earlier in my career.
Mm.
It's How Will You Measure Your Life by Clayton M. Christensen. The I believe everyone should read it. It's a or listen to it. I Because of how busy life could get, I do between Audible and actual physical books,
Yeah.
just to make sure that I get something in. It's a book that I believe would help you um, realize how you need to get to that place where you will thrive, and that it's sometimes it is not hard and fast. Some of us we're talking here from a place of experience and of years, decades of of getting through a journey. But sometimes you don't always know where you are going from the start. You
That's true.
have to be able to course correct as you go along. And I think that book just kind of described my life, the course corrections I made to get to where I am right now. If I had that information earlier, I would have, realized what was happening and be able to
Mhm.
transition much faster. So that would be my recommendation.
Thanks, Fisayo. Ruth, any book recommendations?
Oh, yes, sure. So I read this book while I was still in France, and it's called Introduction to Clinical Research. The reason
Mm.
why I would recommend it is by Dan Safara. And for anyone who has ever thought about clinical research or thinking about it, he has loads of videos on YouTube. And that was my first entry point to clinical research. I listened to almost everything he has on YouTube. And that book, I bought the book. And the reason why I would recommend the book is that it's written in very simple English. Like
Mm.
for someone who, those books that we call dummy of English, dummy of maths, is that's how I felt reading that book. I could understand
Wow.
clinical research as in the clearest term possible. So I would recommend that book to anyone who is considering a career in clinical research. Read that book. It would really help you to really decide if this is for you or if it's not for you. Because when I read it, the flame just sprung up immediately. The passion just, that's how I got my passion.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is that what sparked your passion, or did you already
Yes.
think you wanted to head in this? Yeah.
Well, funny enough, as a young child, right, I've always wanted to be a nurse. I've way back Nigeria time, Kaduna time, because I was from the Kaduna space.
Wow.
Way back. I've always wanted to be a nurse, but for some reason, I didn't have the capacity or the strength, the physical need for a nurse. Being working, standing
Mhm.
for long hours. So I never just thought about it like it was going to be for me. So when it didn't happen, it didn't happen. I felt, okay, that's really not for me. But how many years down the line, 20 years down the line, I'm realizing that I've always wanted to be in the health space, and clinical research just came around the same period where I was confused about my life and I wanted a new transition. So for me, it just all connected, the dots connected together. I've always had that passion for healthcare, but I never knew how I wanted to get back into healthcare and not also being in front of patients. So clinical research
Mhm.
gave me the opportunity to pursue the passion in healthcare and not be in front of any patient and just work remotely. So that's the game for me.
Markanthony, how about you? What book
think,
recommendations do you have?
um, Who Stole My Cheese? That's one book I would recommend.
What
Who
What
Stole
is the
My
name?
Cheese? Who Stole My Cheese?
Your cheese. Oh, wow.
Who
Fisayo,
Stole
you've
My
read that one?
Sorry, I'm sure you've read about it. It's a very good book. It teaches you a
Okay.
lot by Spencer Jonathan. I think that's the book I would recommend for anyone to read. Um, and then another one possibly. I, I I try to not keep my reading just within the academic space, right? The Art of War
Mm,
by
I've heard of it.
that's another book too. Kind of expanded because sometimes you draw who moved my cheese. Sorry, thank you. Who moved my cheese? Not who stole my cheese.
Well,
Who moved my cheese?
thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, yeah,
It's the person in the
great book.
comment.
Yeah, great book. But again, it's all about also expanding the reading and pulling from different angles or areas, right? To kind of make that connection. So the art of war too, for me, I think it gives you a different perspective to start looking at it that you need to have a strategy. You
Hmm.
just need to have a strategy, and everything you do without a strategy, then it's harder to achieve that vision.
I have a question from someone in the comments, and I will open this up for anyone who wants to answer. How did you tackle your first task after you got your new roles?
Okay, I can take a stab at that.
Okay.
Um, so um, I've learned over time that asking questions, right, is going to save you a ton of headache when you
Mhm.
are starting on a new role that you just transitioned into. And you're not just asking questions internally within the organization, you're asking externally within your community. So before I start a new role, I am asking my first three, I'm asking someone that has been there, done that, that what do you advise I do in the first 3 weeks, 4 weeks? What do you recommend that I should watch out for? And you take that information, you take that tip into the organization, and when you land, every organization is different. Even if you're a seasoned professional and you're moving into another organization, they're probably using different tools. They have a different, even with the same tool, they have a different configuration. So you are expected to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask those questions. How do you do this? The current role I'm in, I started this January, and when I came in, despite the fact that I'm leading the team, I came in, I was asking questions. How do you guys do this? And I was just asking and listening to them. Show me how you do it. Identify a friendly face that will guide you through what they do. Identify what you need to do, then get someone to guide you through it. It will save you so much stress. Going heads down, um, I said I can do this thing. So let me prove to them that I can do it. It's a recipe for disaster, right? So ask questions, and that will help you.
Well, I could
Anyone else
also,
want to answer that? Go
yeah,
ahead. Go ahead.
I could also throw in something there. And I think it goes back to the earlier conversation about having a mentor. Um, so one of the things too is depending on where you train, those boot camps, the workshops and things you attend, you have to also understand that most of these things are adaptive to the ecosystem you find yourself. Every organization has their own ecosystem, and there are variations of the practice as you go across the board, right? So depending on where you find yourself, the application of what you know or what you've learned may not necessarily be the same, but the fundamentals stay the same. So I think having someone who's been around as well, who can guide you. You can periodically pick up the phone, make a phone call, say, "Hey, I faced a situation today. How would you tackle something like this?" I think that's very helpful as well. Um, because you're bound to make mistakes. Nobody knows it all. No matter how experienced you are, when you get into a new ecosystem, you're new, right? And you have to learn their way of doing it. So there might be some of those challenges, but having that person you could tap into to pull some knowledge is very important.
Ruth, I'll let you take a stab at that as well.
Yes, so both of your points are so spot on. And for clinical research space, particularly, we have a very intensive onboarding process. So depending on the company you're working for, you could have as long as 2 to 4 weeks onboarding process. So that's one part. So it gives you room to build your confidence, even though it's a new role, right? You're learning all the systems, all the tools. They're expecting you to be a novice, even if you have 20 years experience on your CV, because every company functions differently. So they would not assume that you know it already. They would try to train you properly for you to know what the system of that company is. And then some good companies do have like buddies, like a peer, a colleague that will be your full-time buddy throughout a period of 3 to 6 months sometimes. So it depends on what kind of company you fall into. And of course, I would always acknowledge that part of Fisayo saying that you have to ask questions, no matter how smart you are or how experienced you are. If you keep your mouth shut, everybody assumes you know it. So you don't, you try to ask all the questions as possible, especially if you're asking the questions smartly, not asking it's like every 15 minutes of the day you're asking the same question. Get yourself a note, get yourself a video recorder, get something to make sure that you don't go back asking that same question again. Try to be smart at your question asking. So that's what I would say.
Thank you so much, Ruth. I'm about to wrap up. We're about to wrap up. We're 10 minutes away. I have one more question. I'll give you all some time to think about this. If you were to transition to a new career, brand new career, or tomorrow, what would it be? Take some time to think about it while I tell our audience more about resilient immigrants. You all have to forgive my dog upstairs who is having a fit because he's hungry. Um, Fisayo, maybe you can give me some advice on how to help him out. Anyway, if you all want to find resilient immigrants on Instagram, it's resilience underscore Instagram underscore immigrants. And the website is resilienceimmigrant.com. If you want more information, there is a portion of the website where you can submit your information to get feedback from Resilient Immigrant. So, have you all thought about my question? Who wants to
Yeah,
go first, please?
I can go first. I didn't have to think too much about it. Okay, so it will be enterprise change management. So,
What is that? Sorry, what is that?
so it's my journey is to what I'm striving to do is to bring what I like to do in my personal time. Bridge that gap for people that are transitioning and bring it to the corporate world. Do both things in private that in personal life that I do at work. And what does enterprise change management mean? It means that organizations are going through change, whatever, and enterprises are always going through change. Whatever that type of change, it could be processes, it could be people, it could be technology, whatever it is, getting the organization from where they are, managing that change, managing the perception of people, ensuring that people embrace the change, understanding what the challenges are with people taking up the new change, and making sure that those challenges are addressed is I think will be the sweet spot for me. So currently on that journey, always moving, always looking to the next thing, getting to so yeah, that's it for me. Enterprise change management.
I have a feeling that you are about to transition into that anyway. So,
Yeah.
wishing you the best with that. Ruth, what would you want to go into?
Well, I have two things in mind. One still remaining in clinical research, but just going on a global scale, which is becoming a global strategist. So, meaning that I'll be responsible to expanding sites in different countries, like Nigeria doesn't have anything called clinical research in the first place. So, expanding site, creating, being in those board meetings, and just doing lots of strategic calls for global expansions. Right? That's one thing. But if I didn't want to do anything clinical research again, I think I'll still be behind the scenes, but doing cybersecurity just because I'm very detailed oriented, and I feel like my skill set, my natural innate skill set just matches up well with cybersecurity. I'm able to spot on issues. So that's something I think I could do well with.
I was not expecting that from you, Ruth. And I wish you the best of luck. I hope that global clinical research is something that you do look forward to in the future, because I know, especially in Nigeria, we need that expertise. Mark Anthony, what would you like to go into?
Ah, so for me, I love what I'm doing now, but if I was ever to change or transition, that would be to be a public speaker. I think that would be the path I would want to toe. Um, I'm passionate about transformation. I'm passionate about enabling people. I'm passionate about seeing other people kind of grow their careers, their prospects, and things like that. So anything that can help me disseminate information, share knowledge, connect with people, I think that's my space. And I think public speaking would help you do that.
I can see that for you as well. And I wish you the best with that. You have lots of knowledge and lots of patience, it seems like, for people as well. So, anyone want to add anything? We've got 5 minutes left. Actually, no, let's go around and tell people where they can find you. Fisayo, do you have a LinkedIn profile? How would you like people to connect with you?
LinkedIn works great. I'm on LinkedIn. My name Fisayo Ojelabi on LinkedIn. You see my face. It's kind of distinct. So that should help. I would love to connect. You mentioned that it was through this forum that you connected, and I like to have conversations and help whichever way I can.
Ruth, where can people find you?
Yes, so you can check me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, crlinks.com, cr/links.com. That's where you can find me. And as everyone has said on this platform, I'm here to help, here to show you the way into clinical research. And literally,
I think we lost Ruth. If she comes back, we'll get back to her. But Markanthony, please, where can people find you?
I'm on LinkedIn, Markanthony Akem. You can also find my company, Agile 17 um, LLC. We're also on LinkedIn. We're on Instagram at Agile 17, on Facebook at Agile 17. Um, and then, you can also connect with us. We have a new app coming out that is going to also for this same kind of community oriented application that is called skillnet, right? You can also connect with us there. We'll be launching very soon, so we'll be more than happy to have you all join us sometime in some of our roundtable conversations and things that we do as well.
Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate you. I am going to close out about 2 minutes early. I really, really do appreciate you all giving an hour out of your busy schedules to speak to our audience today. Once again, if you all want to find us online, it's resilientimmigrant.com, Instagram, resilience underscore immigrants, and also resilient immigrants on LinkedIn. Everyone, take care. Enjoy your evening. And if you're in the
Bye,
US,
y'all.
enjoy the holiday weekend.
All
Thank
right. Thanks, Sophia. Thanks,
Bye.
Fisario. Great connecting. Bye, y'all.
you. Bye.